Mr. James Wilson, 83 years old, wearing tattered clothes and worn-out plastic sandals, walked into the bank with a heavy old sack in his hand. The young bank clerk's name was Mark Davis. Eyes swept from head to toe, with obvious contempt, break the silence of the bank's luxurious space. Counting on the old man raised his voice. "Let's go somewhere else. Banks are not for people like you." Mr. James Wilson didn't back down. The voice is slow but patient. "Sir, I'm here to save money. My money is in this bag," although his eyes were full of determination. But the hope was just to raise an eyebrow and let out a sarcastic laugh. He pointed to the sack with one finger. Sneered, "Is there any money in the sack? It should be just a few small bucks. We don't have time for this kind of thing." Mr. James Wilson remained calm. His hands were dragging heavy sacks, ran a long distance and trembled slightly, but the voice was still gentle. "It seems that I want to emphasize to the end. This is the money I have earned with my sweat and hard work. It's something I've accumulated all my life. I want to save money for later." Expect uncontrollable mocking laughter. Several colleagues next to him also kept talking. One of them said a little word, but the sound was loud enough for Mr. James Wilson heard clearly. "This bank also dispose of these broken sacks full of change. What a waste of time." In the luxurious space of the bank, Mr. James Wilson was like a misfit. The trading counter is designed with clear glass. The light reflected by the bulb creates a gorgeous look. Bank employees wear neat vest uniforms. I was busy trading with elegantly dressed customers. As soon as the automatic doors of the bank opened, hear from Mr. James Wilson's bag wheels, the sound of dragging on the tiled floor. Everyone jerked back. The old burlap bag was heavy. He bent over. Every step is heavy but resolute. When standing in front of the trading desk, Mr. James Wilson stopped, carefully placed the sack on the ground. His gaze scanned the space around him. It seems to be confirming that he has come to the right place. But it was his rugged appearance, petite stature and tattered plastic sandals. Keep everyone's eyes on him. It's out of curiosity. Rather, it is out of contempt and anger. Some customers wore extravagant suits and evening gowns. Can't hide from prying eyes. A middle-aged woman wearing glittering jewelry. Shashang said to the man sitting next to him, "Does this bank still allow such people to come in?" Really lost the standard. Mr. James Wilson didn't care about the whispers. His gaze only rested on the noble person in front of him. Seems to be waiting for help. But what I got was a cold attitude and categorical refusal. What a waste of time. You should take your sack home with you. We didn't have time to deal with it. Mr. James Wilson said nothing more. Just bent down, picked up the heavy burlap bag. There was some sadness in his eyes, but it was still calm. Wu Wang stood straight behind the counter. "Cross your arms in front of your chest." There was uneasiness in his eyes. He stared at Mr. James Wilson's bag, sneered at the old man. "We don't take change here. You'd better take this home with you. Don't waste your time here next time." Mr. James Wilson bowed slightly. A calloused hand pinched the edge of the sack. His voice was still gentle. There was no anger. "It's money I've saved up all my life. I want to send it, so that I can live a safe and stable life in the future. If you don't take it, I'll be waiting for you." The capable man pretended to snort. Turning to the colleague next to him, he sarcastically, "Did you hear that? He asked to see an authority figure. Maybe we think we had free time to sit down. Count the change for the whole day." Both sneered. "Get up." The atmosphere around the trading desk became solemn. Nearby customers began to whisper. An elderly man in a neat vest. After watching Mr. James Wilson glanced, "Shaking your head is really annoying. I don't understand. Why would this bank let such a person in?" A young lady who had just signed a document. He looked at Mr. James Wilson, glanced, then turned to his friends. "What a waste of time. We're busy." There was no time to sit down and watch the scene. Suddenly, from the trading room, a middle-aged man in a formal suit walked out. "I am Mr. Jodnan, branch manager." His expression was serious. "Walk straight to the trading desk." His gaze swept over Mr. James Wilson and heavy burlap bags on the ground. "Hey, what's going on?" His voice rang out. Let the space suddenly fall silent. King Chu immediately straightened up. He nodded to the manager, then quickly answered yes. "No big deal. It's just that the old man brought a bag of change to save it. But we don't feel the need to waste time dealing with this." Manager Joe nodded. Looking at Mr. James Wilson's eyes were still unsympathetic. He got a little closer, glancing at the bag again. The tone was calm but hard to hide his disdain. "I'm sorry, sir. We can't handle the money. Come here. It just wastes the time of employees and other customers." The old man looked the manager straight in the eye. There was no anger in his eyes, only sadness. His voice was still slow and calm. "You can report to your superiors." "I'm ready to wait." The manager frowned. The attitude is clearly not wanting to argue anymore. He turned to the security guard next to him, motioned to take the old man out as well. "We can't let things like that affect the bank's operations." The tall figure of the security man approached the old man. His voice was a little lower. "Uncle, if there is nothing necessary, just leave. You've been standing here for too long. It's embarrassing for everyone." The old man was still standing still. Eyes scanned around, sitting at the counter, sweat waiting for more than customers. Mostly avoided his gaze. Several people looked unhappy. Turn and leave. Besides, none of them spoke out to defend the old man. He bent down slightly. With trembling hands, he picked up the heavy bag. His shoulders were slightly bent by the weight, but the pace is still slow and decisive. He didn't refute. No signs of anger or resistance. The atmosphere inside the bank was lively again. But the afterglow of that scene just now. But it made some people feel uneasy, especially a young employee standing next to him, looking at the old man's thin back as he left. His eyes were full of worry. A young employee sitting at the counter next door witnessed the whole event. He had just joined the company. The face is still young. The eyes are bright and enthusiastic. When he saw that the old man was being treated unfairly, he couldn't hide his discomfort. "You come here to save money," he said, his voice soft, but clear enough. It can be heard throughout the counter. "We should be there for you. Shouldn't you check before rejecting?" His words froze the atmosphere around him. The employees who just laughed at the old man immediately turned to him and raised an eyebrow. There was mockery in his voice. "You're so naive. Look at the way he looks. You don't understand what I'm telling you. What is this old man doing? Have a large sum of money to save. That bag was probably full of change. It takes longer to stand up than it's worth." Colleagues around him heard the taunt. They all laughed softly. But the young employee didn't back down. He stood up, walked straight up to the old man. He asked softly, "Uncle, can you let me check this bag?" The old man looked up. A hint of surprise flashed in his eyes, but still not in agreement. The thin hand gently let the sack fall to the ground. Several other employees, uncomfortable eyes, watched his every move. One of them whispered, "And that's definitely not worth the money. It's just a waste of time." The group ignored the gossip. Young employees bent over, gently untie each knot in the sack. When the old cloth is removed, a scene that surprised everyone in the neighborhood appeared. There were dozens of piles of change in it, neatly arranged. The bundle is very careful. The entire trading desk fell silent. The smile disappeared. Instead, it was the surprised and slightly confused look in the staff's eyes. The colleague standing next to him blurted out softly, "Is this the change?" Young employees are cautious. "Get every stack of money out. Place on the counter." Then he turned to the old man and said grandpally, "How long have you been saving this money?" The old man replied gently. The voice was calm but full of pride. "My whole life. These are all money from selling lottery tickets, collecting scrap, and working part-time. Over the years, I've saved every penny." People standing nearby. This includes employees and customers. Everyone was surprised to hear this answer. Those who just laughed at him. Shame began to appear on their faces. "Old man, The young employee silently looked at the pile of money. Although it's change, but the amount is huge. At a glance, it is clear that this is not a small amount of money. He picked up a stack of money. Hands trembled slightly. Then he turned to look at the manager who was standing a few paces away. A look of confusion. Sir, this is not a small amount of money. We need to deal with it. Deliver it immediately. The manager couldn't say anything at this point. Just stood there and didn't move. His gaze swept over the counter. Piles of money stopped at the old man's calm face. The atmosphere inside the bank seemed to have calmed down completely. All that remained was the surprise of the crowd. The cash register at the counter began to rattle. Every pile of zeros. The money was carefully placed by the young employees. The number on the screen gradually increases, from millions to tens of millions, far beyond anyone's imagination. The atmosphere in the bank froze at the moment. The employees who laughed at the old man before, they all stood quietly at the moment. All eyes are on the cash register. The numbers on the screen are constantly increasing, until the threshold of 11 VND is broken. The young employee stopped, breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that calm is going to be restored. He turned to the old man. The voice could not hide the surprise, but it is full of respect. Sir, you have a lot of money in your bag. I'm counting. However, it may take more time to process. Thank you for your understanding. Allow me to go on. The old man nodded slightly. There was no smugness or surprise in his eyes. For him, this money is the fruit of his hard life. But he doesn't think it would have surprised the people around him so much. The sound of the cash register rang again. Every pile of change passed. The final number that appears on the screen. The audience took their breath away. VND 31.217 billion. The young employee respectfully turned to the manager, Mr. Doway. That's a lot of money. And it's perfectly legal. We need to deal with it immediately. He said this for those employees who used to laugh at the elderly and customers. It's like a slap in the face. An employee standing next to him stammered. 3 billion, 200 million, 17 million. How could this old man save so much money? The manager, who had previously expressed disdain, stood still. His eyes scanned the piles of money in embarrassment. It stopped at the old man's body. He cleared his throat, trying to restore his authority. But I can't hide my confusion. Yes, we will deal with the money immediately. We apologize for any inconvenience caused. The old man did not speak, just quietly looking at the manager. There was nothing in his eyes. Reproach? There was only a calm look. As if to say, he was used to such a look and attitude all his life. A middle-aged customer with a disdainful face. At this time, he sat quietly. His eyes looked thoughtfully at the pile of money. He muttered to the person next to him that it was 31.217 billion. How did this man save so much money? Maybe we're mistaken about him. Young employees continue to go through the procedures for opening savings accounts for the elderly. He sat on one side. On the one hand, I constantly admired this old man, but had patience. Calm man. These piles of change are worth a lot of money. But it bears one that not everyone understands. Stories of years of hard work. When all the formalities are almost done, young employees turn to the elderly. The tone is full of respect, sir. Your money is counted and fully documented. You want to put it all into your savings book. Or keep some of it. The old man smiled gently. Said it was all in my savings. I don't need much. All it takes is a safe place to store the money. Thank you. The old man's simple but meaningful words let quite a few people in the trading room. All looked down on the original disdain. The gaze and disdain are now gone. Instead, there was an awkward and respectful silence. The manager stood aside, pursed her lips. Can't say a word. He nodded, motioned for the younger employee to continue processing. But the heart can't help it. Shame on your initial attitude. The person standing next to him is either an employee or a customer. They all looked at the old man quietly. It's as if you've just learned an unforgettable lesson. After the inventory is completed, The young employee politely gave the transaction receipt, handed over to the old man. The space inside the bank is still unusually quiet. Almost no one dared to speak out. But a wealthy customer, I was wearing an expensive suit. Press no, stay curious and walk in. Ask the old man how he saved so much money. I really didn't expect that. The old man looked up. Gentle gaze. Full of calm. He smiled softly. The voice is slow but warm. No big deal. Dude, I'm just a guy who sells lottery tickets and picks up scrap. I've been doing this for decades. Every penny earned. It's all my hard work. On a hot sunny day, I wouldn't spend too much. Just keep every penny. Save money for my old age. Because I know no one will take care of me. I'm better than myself. The words of the old man's true feelings. It's like a cool breeze blowing through a stuffy room. Everyone in the bank, from employees to customers. It's hard to hide the surprise and excitement. A young woman stood nearby, silently bowed his head. He used to whisper sarcastic words to his friends. Say that this old man is a useless person. But now this sentence made him feel extremely embarrassed. Another bank staff member had previously laughed at him, but now he didn't dare to look up. He turned awkwardly to his colleague. Sighing softly, we were really wrong. We didn't expect him to save so much money. Rather, they lived an extremely frugal life. Young staff. He was the only one who stood up for the old man in the first place, clutching the receipt in his hand. Before respectfully handing it back to him, he bowed his head and said, "Grandpa, I really admire you, and not just for the money, and your patience and strong will. Thank you. It was a very good lesson for me and everyone here." The old man nodded slightly. His eyes were open, but there was a gentle smile on his face. He replied that it was nothing. Brothers, everyone will have difficult times in their lives. I just want everyone to respect each other. It doesn't matter what they look like on the surface. His story soon spread throughout the room. Some were originally pro. The customers who were talking quietly also fell silent at this time. Look at the old man with respectful eyes. One of them also took a step closer. He bowed lightly and said, "Brother, you have made me rethink a lot of things. Thank you for sharing your story." The bank manager stood silently in the back. I clearly felt the shame creeping into my heart. He didn't dare to look directly at the old man. "Just bow your head deeply," he said in a choked voice. "We don't apologize for not treating you with respect in the first place. Guarantee. We, the bank, would never let something like this happen." Although that apology was sincere. But that's not enough to erase the guilt of all those who laughed at him. However, the old man did not scold. Didn't get angry either. He just nodded slightly. Smile softly. It's like an old father. Generously forgive yourself for being clumsy children. The old man slowly stood up. Upon receipt of the transaction documents, his small figure still exudes composure and confidence. Just as he was about to pull the empty bag out, the bank door suddenly opened. An elegantly dressed middle-aged man walked in. "Hey, Dad, is your homework done?" A warm voice rang out. It attracted everyone's attention. The old man looked up. Kind laughter. "Ah, here you are. Dad just sent it." The man immediately walked quickly to the old man's side, bent down and gently picked up the burlap bag. At this time, everyone in the bank began to whisper. Is the old man's father his father? Who is that man? It looks amazing. Didn't make everyone wonder for too long. A nearby customer recognized the middle-aged man. Exclaimed, it was Mr. James Wilson. He is the president of the largest construction company in the region. Unbelievable. As soon as this remark came out, leaving all the employees and customers within the bank dumbfounded. Their gaze was on the middle-aged man, moved to the old man. Then they looked at each other again. There was undisguised surprise. The middle-aged man was still holding the sack in one hand. He turned to the bankers and said, the voice was full of pride, "Yes, he is my father. But my father always wanted to be simple, independent living. I invited him to rest several times, staying with family. but he always refused. He said it was just his own business. The whole bank fell silent. I also mocked the old man's employees before. Now I don't dare to raise my face. The manager who gave the order to kick him out of the bank stood there, as if stunned. His eyes looked at the floor in embarrassment. After a few seconds of silence, the bank manager walked up to the old man. His face was pale. His eyes were full of regret. He bowed deeply. The voice trembled a little. "Sir, we're really sorry. Disrespectful to you from the start. I don't really know who you are." The other employees bowed their heads in unison. Someone whispered that we were wrong. "We're really sorry." The old man smiled. Gentle eyes. "There is no reproach." He looked directly at the manager. "Then gently say you don't need to apologize to me. It doesn't matter who I am. What matters is how we treat each other. Whoever they are, no matter what they're wearing. What to expect. Everyone deserves to be respected." This sentence was like a gust of wind blowing through the room. Sweep away the embarrassment. It was a great lesson for everyone present. The old man's son stood beside him, not in agreement. He turned to the bank staff. The tone is frank, but also gentleness. Hope for today's story. A lesson for all of us. Don't let appearances or stereotypes go, obscuring our perception of others. The bank employee and manager nodded silently. His eyes were full of regret. The old man took his son's arm. "Slowly stand up." That small figure no longer feels out of place. Instead, it spreads and exudes a powerful aura. It's like a living lesson. Lessons on dignity and self-esteem. In the room. Originally, he was noisy and contemptuous when he came in. Now it is full of respect and contemplation. After all the formalities are completed, the old man slowly stood up. His thin shoulders straightened slightly. Looking at his son's eyes, he was full of satisfaction. The son looked elegant, holding his father's hand, helped him out of the trading desk. Everyone in the bank, from customers to employees, they all silently watched the figure of father and son. Their eyes were no longer contemptuous, nor is it curious. Rather, it is full of respect and appreciation. When the old man passed by, Jake regretted it. Young staff. The only one who stood up to protect him from the beginning. A deep bow. There was admiration in his tone. "Grandpa, thank you for teaching me a great lesson. I wish you good health." The old man turned around. He looked at the young man tenderly. A faint smile. "Thank you, people like you. We'll do a lot of good things in the future." When the old man and his son walked through the bank door, there was a strange atmosphere in the room. Bank employees. In particular, the manager immediately convened an internal meeting. During the meeting, the manager said seriously what happened today. "Definitely not again. We are wrong to judge people by their appearance. From now on, every customer who comes here, no matter who it is, must be held with the highest respect." The only young employee standing next to the elderly got a compliment from the manager. "You're doing a great job. We will give you more responsibility in our work. Keep that spirit." This is not only a recognition of the entire staff of the bank. It is also a valuable lesson. That day, the story quickly spread across social networks. Originated from a customer in the bank. The old man was in rags, carrying life savings. Dynamic photos and short-sightedness in the face of the interview. It touches the hearts of millions of people. Astronomy below. Thousands of messages poured in. Never judge people by their appearance. The elderly are a model of patience and self-esteem. Thank you for the story. He reminded me. Respect is what a person can give to the other person. The most valuable thing. Meantime, the elderly are still returning to their simple daily lives, despite the fact that he has saved all his savings. But he continued to collect waste. Also sell lottery tickets work. Don't be because of the bank story. And change your lifestyle. One evening, the old man had just sold out the last batch of lottery tickets. The son showed up in a luxury car. He crouched down, helped my father into the car. Before closing, the old man glanced back at the familiar street. He smiled softly. It's a satisfying goodbye. Tale. It ends with the image of a limousine slowly driving away. In this petite body. But it exudes a proud and kind temperament. The old man, even if he didn't want to. And to all who witnessed it. Left about respect. A profound lesson in patience and human values. Today's story reminds us. A person's worth does not lie in his appearance. Nor is it about the property he has. It's about his dignity, his self-esteem. And what he silently dedicated his life to. The old man in the story doesn't just teach the banker a lesson. It also inspires all of us to be patient. Respect others. Thank you for watching today. If you find the video interesting, please subscribe, like, and comment. I will try to bring you more good works.